Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to make this super cute fuzzy cat beanie, and what's so neat about this is that this will keep you warm. Also, the cat ears are really cute on it. So if you are new here, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let's go ahead and get straight into it. So the yarn that we will be using is Yarn Bee. It's called For the Moment in the color Frosted Mauve. You can find this yarn at Joann's, and this actually recommends a 9mm hook, but we're actually going to use a 6. And I would also recommend that you have a ton of stitch markers because working with this yarn can be a little tricky. This is a great project for anyone that's a beginner. The only difficult part, which is really difficult, is being able to see your stitches with this yarn. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so we're gonna start off by making a slip knot, which to make a slip knot, you just wrap the yarn around 2 fingers, bring it over the yarn, and you just want to go under and pull. Okay, so now we are going to chain 19. I would recommend doing 1 stitch here and then placing a stitch marker so you can tell where you started. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Alright, so now you have 19 chains, and you can actually see your braided chains here. And what we're going to do is we're going to skip that first stitch and we're going to go into the second one here. We are going to do double crochets going back and forth. So this is 1. And I would recommend putting a stitch marker in your first stitch as well. This will make it much easier to see so you don't end up with like a diagonal square. So we're gonna do 18 in total, so that was 1. 2. 3. 4. And you can always tell where your next chain is just by looking at like where this one is coming out of. So this one right here is going to be your next one. This is 5. This is going to be a 6. Okay, and then I will meet you once we hit 18. Okay, so I'm on my last stitch, which is the 18th stitch. So this is 18. Alright, so now we've got it, our 18 stitches. We are going to chain 1. We're going to turn our work, and we're going to double crochet into the back loop only. So the back loop, you'll be able to see it. It's this one right here. So we're going to do a double crochet and back loop only. Oops. See, even it's hard for me to find it sometimes. Double crochet. Okay. Alright, and then I'm going to put a stitch marker here just so I can actually make sure, I want to make sure that I am able to see where I start and end. Okay, so all you're going to do is do 18 double crochets for this row. You're going to do a chain, and then you're going to go to the back loop only and do a double crochet into each stitch for 18. And so this is going to be really tricky. I would just take your time, give yourself grace. If you do by any chance like miss a stitch, you can do an increase, which is essentially doing 2 single crochets into 1, just so you can catch back up to your 18. So I lost count of my numbers, but I'm going to just trust that I'm putting it into the right one. So I'm doing this kind of fast because I already worked with this type of yarn before, so I have an idea of where the stitches are, but take your time. Once you kind of go through a trial and error process, it gets a little bit easier. You just have to kind of like trust where your stitches are in a way. Alright, that must be 16. This must be 17 right here. And then we got our stitch marker in 18. Like separating it, so that's where it is. Oop. Okay. So now we got 18. Again, we're gonna chain, and then we're gonna go into the back loop, which is right here. We have a visitor. Pagosa. See a little visitor? Okay, so again, I'm gonna take my stitch marker from the bottom, and I'm going to put it into my very first, which I can feel it here. So pretty much we are working up the length of the beanie. So this is this here, so we're working up this. It's going to be super long. You just kind of want to crochet how many rows will fit the circumference of your head. So far we've done 3 of these, and I'll go ahead and count them so that you know how many rows to count for your head. And what I'll do, I'll come back maybe when I'm about like halfway to see where we're at. So I'll see you in a little bit. Alright, so welcome back. This is how much I have so far. This in total is 24 rows, and I'm actually going to put this around my head to see if it's long enough. Go ahead and customize it by like your dimensions of your head. Maybe you have to do a little bit more rows or maybe just a little bit less, but I'm gonna go ahead and try this on. So what we're looking for here is for it to fit comfortably, and you see how it's kind of touching. You can either go ahead and sew it up like this, because you kind of want it to be just a little bit taut, just because it'll loosen over a while. I'm gonna do one more row to make it, what did I say before? It was 24. I'm gonna do one more row to make it 25, and we'll do that last row together. For reference, this is how much of the skein I have left, which is not a lot. So if you feel like you need to get 2 balls, go ahead and get 2, but I think you should be fine with just one. But now we're gonna go ahead and finish off one more to make it 25 rows. All right, so this was the last of my rows, so I'm going to chain one, and then I'm gonna turn my work, and then again we are this is so hard to see, but this is what I'm looking at, this one right here. So we're gonna do a double crochet, okay, so we should have 3 on the hook. It's really hard to tell. 1, 2, and then 3. So I'm gonna go through the first 2, and then these 2, and this right here is my chain. Or my stitch, I mean. So that was the first one. So again, how are you gonna find the second one? You really base it off of how this is pulling up. That's how you know this is the next one. So then you find it, and you want to find that back loop. Sometimes you can use your crochet hook to find it for you. And look, I found it. And if it makes it easier, you can put a finger there. So this is going to be 2. And you can even hold the third loop there. That way you know that you're supposed to go through it. 2. And then again, you want to see how it's pulling. This is the very next one. You can actually feel these, which is why it becomes easier. So that was 2. And again, if you want to use your hook to help you find the loop, you can. And then you're going to go through. And you can hold that last one, that last loop. And this is 3 stitches. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And if you can't find it, use your hook. This makes this one 10. $11, 12, 13, I didn't go through that last one. That's 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And then you can always tell when you're about 17 and 18 because 17 is right there. I'm sorry if you guys can hear my neighbors. They like blast their music and do karaoke, which is super cute, but like it's so quiet in here so you might hear it or not. Okay, and then the last one I always take the stitch marker out because it's a little bit harder to get through the loop. And then this one makes 18. This one's a little bit harder to get, so I would recommend using, like putting your hook through there. Okay, and now we are at 18. So I'm gonna try this back on and see if it fits my head size. All right, this is perfect. It doesn't feel like it's too like cinched in. This is actually the perfect amount. So you want to do 25 rows. So now we are going to combine it. All right, so to combine these, I'm going to make sure I take off or take out all of my stitch markers. If it makes it easier for you, you can put a stitch marker in each individual stitch, like 18 stitch markers, or you can put one at the end so you can tell how many rows you've done. As you can tell on mine, I did my count wrong, so I must have did 17 here, so it's a little bit shorter. It's okay, you know, you're gonna make mistakes with this type of yarn. It is hard to see. Okay, so to combine these, we want to take both ends and sandwich them. And this is why it's important to have 18 on your very first and last. That's the only one you really want to make sure is correct. So that feels like that's going to be hard to slip stitch, so I'm going to turn it the other way around. And what we're going to do is slip stitch down here and slip stitch across, and then your beanie is pretty much done. So let's go ahead and do that. So this part is the most challenging, I won't lie to you. Just count your stitches, as long as you count 18. Alright, so slip stitch 1. And you really just want to feel for your stitches. That's kind of what's going to help you here. And as you can tell, you see how like mine are off center? That means I'm skipping stitches on this side, so I'm just going to take it out and redo it. Don't be afraid to redo, and as much as you need. It may be a little frustrating at first. So we're going to find that first one if we can. 1. 2. If it makes it easier, which I think this would be a good idea, is if you just take a stitch marker and put it on the end of both, so then by the time you get to 18, you know that your numbers are right. So I will meet you once I finish slip stitching this. Okay, so now we're just going to slip stitch, either slip stitch or single crochet, whichever one is the most easiest for you. If you feel like the slip stitching is a little confusing, then do a single crochet. Okay, so I'm going to just pull the rest of that through and it's done. So this is going to be the inside of your beanie. You can go ahead and weave in the ends. I'm going to go ahead and try it on before I cut anything, just in case I gotta like redo this and take that apart. So I'm going to try this on. Pieces. And there it is, it's the cat beanie. So I'm going to just go ahead and, well, this is inside out, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut this off. I'm gonna cut about like that much, and I'm gonna weave in this. I'm just gonna take the crochet hook and just go through and weave it in. And here is the finished result of the beanie. I hope you had fun making this with me. I know it can be a little stressful, especially working with this type of yarn, but if you enjoyed the tutorial, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with anyone who's interested. And I would also love to see your finished crochet beanie, so you can also tag me. My Instagram is Amber Knots. I'll put it down in the description bar below. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.